Drilon. Welcome back to StoryCon, sir.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me this afternoon.
Hi,
Hi,
sir.
Senator.
Afternoon, Senate President
Hi.
Drilon.
We take note that you issued a press release this afternoon. I'm going to read part of it. You say, "This is ugly. I've never seen this kind of bastusan in the history of the Senate. A malicious and grave abuse of discretion I have never seen in the history of the Senate. It must be condemned. Patay na ang malayang diskurso sa Senado." Would you like to talk us through what you mean by that?
Well, firstly, the honored tradition in the Senate is that
Anyway, mga gandang gabi. Kumusta po kayo dyan mga kababayan, mga ka-Bonete? Ito po yung patungkol doon sa online voting na proposal ni Senator Marcoleta at kung saan-saan nakarating at maraming tumututol. Bakit kaya? Para mas magkaroon tayo ng kaalaman, we have former Senator Drilon, former Senate President din po ito nung kanilang kapanahunan. So, pakinggan po natin ang kanyang mga knowledge and wisdom patungkol sa pag-stay niya sa Senado nung panahon nila. Okay, eto po. Feel free po na mag-comment tayo at mag-react tayo dyan sa comment box.
there is no closure. If any senator has the floor, you're not supposed to say your time is up. Unlike the House, where there is that where the time is given to a speaker as to how long he can speak. That's called the power to close the debates. And the Senate, as long as the senator would want to speak and he's recognized, there is no closure. And therefore, you may not close the debates. Now, in this particular case, the controversial amendment proposed is to allow electronic voting, which is contrary to tradition and rule in the Senate. In the Senate, you must please be present when you cast your vote. And this is honored to the letter, so that if a senator is in the Senate lounge, which is just behind the session hall, if the senator stays in the lounge, he cannot vote because the rule requires personal presence in the session hall. Now, this is proposed to be amended so that electronic voting will be allowed. We only allowed this during the time when there was a national pandemic, which is the COVID, when nobody would, when voting by remote control, electronic voting was allowed. But presence in the Senate when votes are being cast is a rule and a tradition that is strictly followed. I'm sorry. What I saw in the last few days was that first there was a proposed amendment to allow electronic voting. There was no minority block on the floor. This was immediately approved. Such amendment with far-reaching implications inapproved kagad. Good that Senator Subiri noticed it and came on the floor and asked for a reconsideration. So it was referred to the Committee on Rules. However, the Committee on Rules has not yet been constituted, and before it is constituted, the issue was again brought back to the floor and wanted to be voted upon, even without a debate, even without a committee report being filed. Such an important rule was being amended and in a rush without benefit of debate. And as I said, in the Senate, the tradition is you do not stop somebody who has the floor. That is why you have heard of the famous Roselier name privilege speech, which lasted for I think a day or so. But what is important is that here, the majority bloc was trying to railroad this amendment. which has far-reaching implications. And that is why the minority walked out in order that there will be no quorum and therefore no business can be transacted on the floor. That and therefore they prevented the adoption of the amendment to the rule which would have allowed electronic voting. And this has never happened in the past. This is really abuse of discretion, the tyranny of the majority. They want to change something, they just railroad everything in disregard of parliamentary practices.
So, sir, of course, we understand the point that it is part of tradition. It is not part of parliamentary practice. You should always be there.
No, it's in the rules.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You should always be there to cast your vote. But can that rule be changed? Technically, can that rule be changed by the majority through, for example, Section 136 or through the committee on rules?
It can be changed, no question about it. But they referred it to the Committee on Rules, which is the proper thing to do. Refer to the Committee on Rules and wait for the report to be submitted to the floor and vote on the committee report after a debate.
Yes, sir.
In this particular case, they brought it to the floor, back to the floor, without a committee report being filed, and wanted to vote on it without further debate.
Yes, sir. But, sir, in this case, si Alan Peter apparently was raising the use of Section 136 of the rules, which states, if I may read it, the rules may also be amended by means of a motion which should be presented at least one day before consideration, and the vote of the majority of the senators present in the session hall shall be required for its approval. I don't know, but it does sound like a shortcut in 136. Is that what it is?
No, you can interpret it in any way you want. But the tradition in the Senate is that in such critical amendments as this, the tradition would call for a full debate, not ramming it down the throat of the senators. It calls for a full debate, especially that you want to change the rule in the Senate, which has been there for, I don't know, 50 years or so, and would have very serious implications, because if you adopt this rule, you would have a Senate President, theoretically, who would preside over the session of computers and laptops.
Pero SP, parang yung majority ngayon, parang wala nang pakialam sa honored tradition. Parang unprecedented yung nangyayari ngayon. Diba?
Hindi naman po pwede. Well, you know, that is why the Constitution allows the Supreme Court to review acts of any agency of government where there is abuse of discretion. And there could be no clearer abuse of discretion than in this particular case. When the matter was referred to the Committee on Rules, the Committee on Rules have not been constituted, all positions were declared vacant, and they just wanted, the majority just wanted to bring it back to the floor and vote on it because they have the number.
So, Senator, tama yung sinabi ng minority ngayong araw na kapag ganyan magkakapilitan ng railroad, they will go to the Supreme Court for resolution. Yan lang ang option nila.
The Constitution empowers the Supreme Court to correct any grave abuse of discretion on the part of any agency of government. And this is a broad power which the Supreme Court has resorted to check abuses of government.
Paano ko sabihin ng Supreme Court, ayaw namin makialam sa
That's an
internal rules
thing.
of a co-equal branch?
That is the privilege of the Supreme Court. I'm just saying that they are authorized to do so. If they say we will not interfere, that's a prerogative that they have. But there is a remedy available to the minority.
Yeah.
Pero, sir,
Anong magiging option kapag ganun yung Supreme Court ruling na ayaw namin makialam dyan sa rules nyo?
Then if that is the ruling, then that's it. The matter will be decided by the Senate, but the rules on amendment should be followed. In other words, in a typical legislative matter placed on the agenda, there are those who would speak for the sponsor of the measure would speak, would be given time to speak. There will be a period of interpellation. Now, and unless the sponsor says, I no longer want to yield the floor, the interpellation can continue. You cannot stop the senator interpellating.
Well, so I think everybody agrees that this is very important. It's too important to just be put to a vote without any deliberation. However, my question is, could the majority possibly use Section 136 as a loophole, considering that Alan Peter already brought it up last night? Could they use it as a loophole to shortcut the process of having to go to the committee and have deliberations and have a committee report?
That is correct. They can use this as a loophole, but precisely they are doing it in abuse of discretion. Why am I saying that? We know that there is an impeachment trial coming up. One of the issues would be, or an issue would be the production of the bank records that showed certain accounts which the vice president may have. Now, a subpoena will be requested. If I would expect Senator Alan Peter Cayetano, given his political leanings and his statement, to deny the motion, the motion to subpoena the records. If the opposition would oppose this, it would be put to a vote. And when you put it to a vote, absentee voting, meaning those who are not in the premises of the Senate can vote, including Senator Bato, who we do not even know where he is. And anyone can vote electronically without being present in the floor. And this is very critical, especially at this time of our political history.
SP, we've been doing Senate math for several days, and at this point, we all know that the majority has a very slim majority. Without Bato, it's 12-1 to the majority. If another senator gets arrested this week, and that is something that the ombudsman has promised, magiging 11-11, and then another gets taken out in relation to the plunder cases, magiging 10-11, 10 yung majority, 11 yung minority. Can you walk us through that scenario? So the current minority becomes the new majority automatically, but they still can't take out SP Cayetano, correct?
Just to go through that line, if the circumstances will, right now, there is a 12-11 majority 1. If two, for some reason, are prevented from voting because they are charged, they disappeared, they cannot be found, then you would have an 11-10 majority, 11-10 majority on the floor. But the Senate President can remain as a Senate President because there are no 13 votes. So what will happen is that there is a reorganization of the Senate controlled by 12 votes as only against 11. So all the Senate, the committees will be chaired by those who hold the edge, meaning the 11 senators. And the 10 would be the minority, although supportive of the Senate President, could not do anything because the Senate is run by a majority vote. So is the Senate President who does not control the committees, or whose allies do not have control of the committee. So it will be such an unstable situation, so that, and I have not seen this in the past 24 years that I was in the Senate, where the Senate President would not have the support of his allies, but could not be deposed because there are no 13 votes. And under the Constitution, you must have 13 votes to elect a new Senate President. But you do not need 13 votes to change the committee chairs and
yun pala yun.
and transact business.
And what is the danger
comment,
there
any
if you have a
comment?
Senate President who does not have control of the committees and who is in fact then become part of the minority? That means stalled bills,
No,
essentially.
there is no danger because the Senate is run by committees. And if the 12 or the 11 would be the controlling majority, then it is so written in the rules that they will run the Senate. The Senate President.
Okay, shout out po sa mga viewers natin. Meron po tayong 200 viewers. Maganda yung topic. Nagustuhan ko yung point na paano kung dumating yung warrant, let's say magka-problema yung dalawa kasi napabalita na magkakaroon ng problema itong si Senator Joel at Senator Jinggoy, no? Na-announce ni Ombudsman na press con. Ngayon, tinanong, maganda itong kumbaga kuro-kuro. Based on my understanding dito sa sinabi ni Senator Drilon, ito natin full of knowledge itong si Senator Drilon kasi matagal siyang nanungkulan bilang senador. Ngayon, yung tanong, napakaganda yung tanong kasi ganito yun, napakaganda yung tanong. Paano kung magiging halimbawa 12 sila ngayon, yung minority 11, yung majority supposed to be 13 sana pero hindi na nag-attend si Bato, so 12. So ang score ngayon is 11, 12 yung majority. Ngayon, kung magka-problema pala yung dalawa, si Senator Jinggoy at Senator Joel, so magiging 10. Ngayon, tinatanong nila kung may possible ba na ma-change yung pagka-Senate President ni Alan Cayetano. Ganito ang sagot ng diretsahan in a simplest form. Hanggat walang 13 na boto, hindi pala siya mapapalitan. Yun yung aking pagkaintindi. Hanggang walang 13 na pipirma, hindi mapapalitan. Pero ang magiging downfall doon, mas marami yung minority kasi 12 sila. Ang counted is yung present. Hindi pwede yung halimbawa kasi wala pa dati yung online voting, no? So ang mangyayari is hindi na niya makontrol kung mas marami yung minority kasi yung minority na present is 12. Kung magka-problema nga yung majority at maging 10 na lang yung present, no? So dehado sila sa voting. So pagdating doon sa mga committee, sa mga decision making, matatalo yung proposal ng majority kasi mas marami doon sa kabila. Pero ang maganda dito, hindi mapapalita ang SP hanggat walang 13 na nakikita. Yun pala yun. Okay. Ngayon, yun nga yung sinasabi ko, hindi na niya makuha yung buong suporta doon sa gusto nila na majority kasi kulang yung boto, no? Ayun, tuloy natin. Comment lang po dyan sa baba kung ano yung at least may natututunan tayo dito. Malaking bagay itong naibahagi ni Senator about doon. Kasi possible yun na darating. Maugong talaga Tuloy. Sa mga gustong magpa-shoutout, comment lang. Hi, Juan.
Will become a ceremonial president in effect.
Paano SP kung tie? Parehas 11-11. How do you break that impasse?
If it's 11-11, then you cannot pass anything really, assuming that they stick to the party lines. The 11 will vote uniformly, and the other 11 will do the same. You cannot pass anything, and the rulings of the chair of the president, Senate President, will stand not because it has the support of the majority, but because there is no majority to overrule him.
Then you have to arrest somebody else.
Oo nga.
So, sir,
Hindi, meron pa nga daw isa next week.
Okay. Sir, if I may, sir,
Napapile ng kaso.
I'm sure you've already seen this, pero supporters of the majority have been digging up Senate Resolution number 51, authored by Panfilo Lacson and yourself, allowing for the participation of Laila de Lima in sessions through video conferencing. The critics have been saying na, teka, papayagan pala ninyo nung panahon ni de Lima, pero ngayon ayaw niyong payagan si Bato. How do you respond to that?
But of course,
Tama, ang ganda. Yun sana yung iniisip ko na itanong. Anong kaya ang isasagot niya?
that was denied back then.
Firstly, let me make it clear. The request was to allow Laila de Lima to participate in the committee hearings, if I recall correctly. I haven't seen the resolution, but I was there. I was the minority leader. And all that we were asking was to allow Laila de Lima to participate in the debates, in the committee hearings.
Yes, sir.
Not
Well,
vote.
sir, sir, in Senate plenary sessions through teleconferencing, although it does, although it does
Yes.
not mention voting.
Maybe including the plenary session to allow her to participate, but never to vote.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Not to vote.
So that's clear. Anyway, in the
Yes.
pertinent portions, it does not say voting.
Yes. If that is the resolution, yes. We pushed for that because then Laila de Lima was incarcerated and could not totally, and was totally barred from discharging her functions in terms of participating in the debate. So, as I said, I'm talking from memory. Yes, we asked that she be allowed to participate in the debates, both probably in the committee and in plenary. But we did not say she should be allowed to vote because we knew that voting requires personal presence.
Ayan, gusto ko lang basahin po. So maganda po ito, at least kahit papaano meron tayong interaction, no? So sabi dito, shoutout po sa mga viewers po natin. Kailangan po nating isingit minsan yung mga idea natin and yung mga opinion natin para hindi po magmukhang reuse content itong ginagamit natin. Yun po kasi yung rules ni YouTube na at least makipag-participate tayo. Ricardo Dalisay, nasaan na si Tamba? Andito na ang ating guest na si Ricardo Dalisay. Pinagtatanggol kasi ni Marcoleta yung mga senador na nasa majority na makukulong. Kasama na siya sa mga may kasong plunder. Sanay naman daw kung makulong siya sa sa online voting. Okay. So doon po magagamit yung tinatawag nilang online voting, kaya pinapasa nila ito kasi sa social media malakas ang ugong ng tunog na talagang may susunod ulit na ma-serve yung lalo na yung press con ni Ombudsman Remulla. Yan na talagang hinog. Sabi, kung matatandaan nyo yung sinabi ko nung nakaraan ay talagang hinog na. No? At mayroon pang mga susunod dyan. Di ba? Ayan, maraming salamat po sa iyo, Ricardo. Tamba, nasaan ka na? Mr. Tamba. Anong masasabi niyo? Tuloy po natin. Yeah.
So that's clear.
Yeah. So, sir, then what happened
Mga
with the
OFW
resolution?
pa-comment po
How
kung
come
nasaan
it
po
never
kayo.
moved forward?
It was
But the
denied.
resolution, the amendment will allow voting in absentia.
I'm sorry, sir?
Voting in
This
The
amendment.
proposed amendment of Senator Marcoleta
Oh, last night, you mean?
will allow voting in absentia, meaning even if you're not presently present, you can vote. And that's a very dangerous rule because that would allow voting even if you're outside of the jurisdiction of outside the country. That will allow voting even if you are outside of the Senate and subject to abuse. And that is why the objection, the amendment is totally objectionable, and therefore I am appealing to the majority to allow a debate and not vote on it because you have the majority.
Also, sir, you
Saka
might
yung
have
mga appeals nyo on the Lima, all rejected, di ba?
Yes,
Rejected yung mga appeals on the Lima.
that's correct. They did not even allow participation in the debate. We were not asking for that she be allowed to vote. We were asking that she be allowed to participate in the debate and to defend the resolutions and the bills that she filed. That was not even allowed.
I suppose, sir, another curious or interesting point is De Lima, of course, was then under detention. In this particular case, you're looking at the possibility of Bato, who is now in hiding, being able to vote while on the run.
while on the run.
That's correct. That's correct.
And De Lima surrendered.
We do not know whether he is still in the Philippines, and therefore to allow this kind of amendment will be totally anomalous because you are allowing the voting of a senator who may not even be in the country. I tell you, you know, if you are in the Senate lounge and there is a roll call vote, the senator cannot vote, even if between the lounge and the session hall is only a wall.
Yeah.
The senator is required to go to the session hall and cast his or her vote.
And
That
actually,
is how strict the tradition is.
and actually, what's interesting about the De Lima's case was back then the SP was Tito Soto, so he was also instrumental in denying her the petition to participate via teleconferencing. And the difference was that, I guess, in the difference with Bato's case is Bato is at this point a fugitive. He's been
At
on the
large.
run for 6 months.
Yes.
As far as we know, he's not been participating in any in work in the Senate, whereas si De Lima tried to keep up with her senatorship in the Senate by continuing to file bills, continuing to write. Is there anything in the rules that give a that say anything about participation, continued participation as a senator, even if you've not been there physically for a long time? About
Let's make it clear. What the amendment proposes to do is to allow voting through electronic means. And that is totally different from what Senator Soto sought or denied, or what we sought then as minority, that he should be allowed to participate in the debate. We knew that personal presence is necessary to cast a vote. So we were saying
Yeah.
that, okay, so she cannot cast a vote, but she should be allowed to participate through electronic means.
Sir, let me recast the question. Would you know of any case, whether in the country or abroad, where somebody who's on the run is still allowed to cast a vote in the legislature?
I haven't examined the rule in other jurisdictions, but in our case, the rule is you should be personally present to cast your vote.
Senator, linawin ko lang, nagkaroon ba ng request si Senator De Lima to participate in person? Kahit nung nakakulong na siya, na makapunta siya dyan to participate in person sa Senate deliberations.
Honestly, I mean, I could not recall the circumstances, but certainly, yes, the resolution may have asked the majority to allow to personally appear and debate and defend proposals. I don't recall exactly, but there is nothing unusual about that because they were still a senator. But here, the difference is that the proposed amendment would now allow an absentee senator to vote. That's a huge difference.
Pero tinatin kasi ng mga tao kung ano mangyayari if ever Senator Jinggoy Estrada and Senator Joel Villanueva are arrested and held without bail and cannot participate in person.
Yes. So they cannot vote. And
Yeah.
yes, they cannot vote. That's the rule. Unless the custodian would allow them to be present in the session hall. And
that's for the court
Do
to
they need a
decide.
court order?
Yeah, you need the court to decide.
Kasi alam ko merong request na parang ganun si Senator De Lima.
yes,
Na-reject din yata. Sa court.
I don't recall any more Army just sitting here.
Yeah.
I cannot recall the different circumstances. But what I recall is the very firm tradition followed that you must be personally present when you want to cast a vote in case of a roll call vote.
Yeah.
Because the other problem, Ami,
Yeah.
is the quorum determined electronically.
Yeah. Yun, tatanungin namin kayo, is the quorum determined electronically? Pwede ba
Cannot
yun?
It cannot be determined electronically today
Oh,
because the
yeah.
presence is required to establish a quorum.
Yeah.
Now, if you allow voting by electronic means, then can a senator register his or her attendance electronically? And therefore say we have a quorum, although there is only one senator physically present, and that is the presiding officer. So there are a lot of questions. They must debate on this extensively before making a decision. We are not saying that it is not capable that this is an issue which cannot be decided upon by the majority. But
Yeah.
let's not abuse our discretion by not allowing a debate. Why are we so bakit po nagmamadali na ipasa ito na hindi na pwedeng pagdebatihan?
Yung pagpili ng members ng committee, kasi sabi ni Senator Joel, meron ng mga members yung Committee on Public Order ba, which is chaired again by Senator Bato. Sinabi niya, nakapili na ng mga member, vice chairman, and et cetera, kasi sinabi daw ni Senator Bato kung sino yung dapat. Pwede ba yun na the chairman of the committee who is missing can tell someone, pakisabi nga, ito yung gawing can he be directing from wherever he is hiding?
The membership in the committee is elected by the plenary.
Yeah.
The majority leader presents the members of the committee, nominated as by tradition by the chairman. Senator Bato
yes.
may nominate, no question about that. He may nominate because it does not require his presence just to nominate. He can file a manifestation saying that these are the nominees. And it is the Senate in plenary who will vote on these nominees.
So pwedeng tumawag lang siya kay Senator Joel. Eto nino-nominate ko mga member. Pwede yan.
Yes,
Kahit
and
nagtatago siya.
Senator Joel will now manifest on the floor nominating the following as members of the Blue Ribbon Committee. And
Yeah.
it is the Senate in plenary who votes on this nominee. Not Bato. Bato can only
Yeah.
nominate.
Okay. Bato can nominate even if he's missing in action.
Well, yes, because the nomination can be read by the majority leader. In other words, Senator Bato communicates with the majority leader. Please nominate the following. And the majority leader nominates. And the Senate votes.
Yeah.
So that's
Okay.
fine.
Sir, even if we put this to a debate in the plenary, we're likely going to end up where we are right now, which is you have the majority voting to allow him to vote in absentia, the minority denying it. What purpose would a debate do in this case? Do you see any potential arguments that could sway either side?
Well, if they are not blinded to valid arguments, then it is possible to convince them. We can never assume. You we can never assume that their minds are closed. That is why there is a no closure rule in the Senate. You cannot close the debates because you'll never know how a senator will vote until he hears the arguments.
Pero sir, kung gugustuhin ng majority, eventually mapipilit nila yan. Because the rules can be changed, can be amended if they have the numbers.
Yes, that is why they admittedly they have that discretion, but that discretion can be abused maliciously and arbitrarily. So that is why the rules of the Senate would require a full debate on such an critical issue, and the Supreme Court, as I said, has the authority under the Constitution to correct any abuse of discretion by any agency. If they choose not to utilize that power, that's a prerogative of the Supreme Court, but they are given that power under the Constitution.
True.
Ang hirap, no?
Huh? Yeah. So we haven't spoken to you since the Senate shooting incident, SP Drilon, and I was wondering if you could, if you wanted to share some thoughts on that, particularly the fact that of the Senate giving Senator De La Rosa protective custody.
There is no such thing under the law as a protective custody power of the Senate. By Constitution, a senator is exempted from arrest on two conditions. Number one, the Senate is in session. Number two, that the offense for which he is charged is a minor offense punishable by 6 years or less of imprisonment. These two conditions must be present before a member of Congress can invoke his immunity from arrest. So those do not forget that these are conditions which must be met before the exemption or the immunity from arrest will take place. Otherwise, the members of Congress will be above the law. So the law sets very serious conditions to balance the right of the representative of the people to participate and discharge his duties as a member of Congress and the rule of law. And so there is that rule imposed. Having said that, there is no such thing as a protective custody. The protective custody is made to apply, in my recollection, when I was in the Senate, when there is a witness in the legislative hearing, which would require protection because of the testimony that he's about to present. And it is an inherent power of the Senate, of the Congress, to provide protective custody in order for them to discharge their functions of enabling a resource person to have the inputs on a proposed measure in the deliberations, because otherwise the Senate cannot perform its function. So that is why a protective custody, in my opinion, in my view, is a necessary authority of the Senate to enable it to discharge its functions. I cannot understand how a protective custody of somebody like Senator Bato would be in pursuit of that purpose. Senator Bato is not a witness. There is an outstanding warrant on him by the ICC, and therefore, are we saying that Senator Bato is above the law? He cannot be arrested because he's a senator?
Yeah.
Hindi naman po pwede yan. Kaya po nagagalit ang taong bayan dahil sa kanilang tingin. Magkaiba ang hustisya, dalawang klase ng hustisya dito sa ating bansa. Isa sa mga mahihirap, isa para sa mga mayayaman at mga kapangyarihan. The law should apply to everyone. And in this particular case, the protective custody is not proper and is not legal and is not existent.
On another note, SP Drilon, tungkol dito sa CONAS. Of course, inatras na ng main author.
Yun, maganda itong sinasabi nilang CONAS, no? Kasi ito yung naging pasabog ni Senator Amy. No, shout out po sa inyo mga kababayan, mga ka-Bonete. Feel free to like po kasi aapat lang po yung like. Oh, kawawa naman po para makatulong sa algorithm. Okay, tuloy po natin. Maganda itong tanong about CONAS, former Senator Drilon.
Nung PowerPoint at hindi na naisama sa minutes ng Senate. Pero pinag-uusapan kasi siya. Kung ilalagay nyo yung inyong karanasan at saka intellectual weight dito sa usapin ng CONAS, SP Drilon, tingin nyo ba may ganun pang pag-asa yung CONAS na yan this late in the game with a very polarized Senate and a very distracted government? No? What was that about?
So, in my personal assessment, our people, given what they see, would not favor a constituent assembly at this point because of the lack of trust and confidence of the people.
So, shout out po muli sa inyo. Ito po yung sinasabi nilang CONAS, no? Napakahalaga po itong maintindihan natin based po sa ipapahayag ni former Senate President or Senator Drilon. Pakinggan po natin, mga kababayan.
In our legislature, to constitute itself as a constituent assembly to propose amendments to the Constitution. The level of trust is at that level where people will not agree that the members of Congress, both Senate and Congress, will constitute themselves as the group, as the body that will amend the Constitution. Maybe, and I'm just speculating, maybe a constitutional convention could prosper, and I'm just speculating. I'm basing my opinion on what is happening in our country today, where confidence in our public officials is very low, and therefore, if a constitutional convention is called for, people will accept that and elect delegates of the convention who will now amend the Constitution.
Senator, ngayon lang bumaba ng husto sa mukha ng tao ang Senate. Ano ba nakikita niyong possible remedy, ha? Mas mataas pa ngayon yung rating ng House kaysa sa Senate.
Nakakalungkot, Ami. You and I have been observers in the political scene. And I have never in my life seen the Senate gone so low as it is today.
Yeah.
As you correctly said, that's the opinion that is shared by many. The House of Representatives, in terms of perception, are better perceived than the Senate these days. Nakakalungkot. And I'm sad because I was part of that institution for 24 years. Pero nung panahon na hindi naman ganun kasaba ang tingin ng tao. So may pagkukulang kami. Ngunit hindi naman ganun kasama na mas magaling pa yung House of Representatives nung panahon namin.
Anong nakikita niyo ang possible remedy? Possible reforms? Huwag na natin pag-usapan before 2028. Siguro after, in the, foreseeable future na lang. Ano kaya ang pwedeng gawin?
Okay. That's a very difficult question. It requires a lot of things to be done. But maybe we look at our political system and see if we can go back to a political party system that existed.
Two-party.
For martial law, two-party system. Right now, you have 24 political parties in the Senate. Each senator is a political party by himself. So that the Senate president would have to look at his back every day of his life because he doesn't know what will happen to him next, as 23 other political parties would want the Senate president. So that is on one reform that we can look at. Redevelop, it will take time, but if we look at solutions, that one solution we can see, including reforms in the political party system, like changing political parties
Yeah.
without any realistic consequence.
In the short run though, SP, any gaps in the Senate rules that you see given all of this happening na pwedeng i-plug? Anong mga gaps in your Senate rules, parliamentary rules that we need to fix?
You know, in a democracy, majority rules. That is why we have to strengthen the mechanisms to check on the abuses of the majority. And precisely, the Constitution allows the Supreme Court as the final arbiter of issues such as this. I will repeat, we must take a good look at how the Senate has been discharging its powers, because they can gravely abuse their authority.
Okay.
Sir, Pablo lang, sir. Kasi I'm doing the numbers again sa Senate. There's a big possibility na at least 6 senators would be incapacitated for various reasons, from ICC cases to plunder cases.
Para naman yung,
Incapacitated.
para naman na-injure or something.
Meaning ano, they will not be physically there.
Parang PWD.
If you lose 1/4 or 25% of the Senate, what is there anything in the law or the Constitution that says that something has to be done to resolve that issue, that you're missing 6 senators, or life just goes on?
Life goes on.
Majority pa rin.
Majority pa rin. Majority wins.
The 6 senators, assuming that they are incapacitated, are still senators. So the rules, like you must have 13 to change the Senate president, still is valid. And that a majority of the quorum should have to be present in order to transact business. So the fact that there are 6 senators in your theoretical question who are incapacitated, you still have 18 senators who can perform the functions of the Senate.
Okay.
So quorum will be...
Sorry?
Quorum would be
will be
what?
10.
Quorum would be would be the majority
Yeah,
of senators present.
So 9 plus 1.
9 plus 1, 10.
Oo.
10 yung
Yes,
quorum.
50% plus 1. But for purposes of
Leadership.
the vote that would require the presence of the entire Senate, for example, electing the Senate President, it must be the majority of the full Senate, which is majority of the 24 or 13. Matters of conviction in cases of impeachment.
Yeah.
Impeachment is 2/3 vote, which is of the entire Senate, or 16.
Yeah.
Matters regarding ratification of treaties would be 3/4 vote of the entire Senate, or 18. Those numbers are not changed because they're based on a full membership.
Okay.
Paano SP Drilon kung majority ng senador? Very optimistic kasi si Ed Lingaw eh. Paano kung in the realm of the possible na 12 or 13 senators ang incapacitated?
Again.
Paano SP kung 12 or 13 senators, which is now in the realm of the possible, ay incapacitated, nakulong or what? So you have less than a majority remaining. In the same breath nung tanong, how will that unfold? Can they still function even if they are less than half of the Senate?
Oh, well, yes, if there is a quorum. Let's say there are, if there are 10 senators, then you cannot transact business because there is no quorum. When less than, assuming a full Senate of 24, if less than 13 would answer the roll call, you cannot transact business.
Yeah.
You cannot function.
Yeah.
Walang quorum.
Okay, yan mga kabonets, mga kababayan, ang linaw po ng sagot, no? Nakikita ko dito, meron po tayong 23. So ito po i-wrap up natin yung sinabi ni Senator Drilon, no, former Senator Drilon, na about dito sa pagiging majority. Yung pagiging majority, ang tinatanong, pwede bang mabawi kaagad yung pagka Senate President ni Alan Cayetano? Ngayon, para lang siya ay mapalitan, kahit tanggalin nila lahat, kasuhan nila lahat yung mga nasa majority ngayon, kailangan ng 13 votes. Yun po yung pagkakaintindi. 13 votes ang kailangan para mapalitan siya. So, halimbawa, kokonti na lang, maubos lahat yung mga majority. So, siya yung nakatayong Senate President, pero yung majority na member ay, halimbawa, nagka-problema si Senator Jinggoy, Senator Joel, Senator Bato, Senator Bongo. So, naging 8 na lang sila o kaya 10. So, siya pa rin ang Senate President. Ang problema na lang, hindi na siya masyadong masuportahan kung meron silang sinusulong na para sana dapat for majority, kasi mas maraming boto doon sa minority. Di ba? So, iyon po yung sinasabi nila na pwede bang maagaw, hindi pala. Kaya pala nung minsan, shout out po sa 35 viewers, maraming salamat. Comment nga po dyan, comment, nasaan po kayo, at o kaya just comment, hi, kumusta ka, para ma-shout out ko kayo. Anyway, tapos na po yung interview, pa-comment na lang po. Kaya sinasabi ko po, yung main tanong kasi doon is about doon sa yung voting. So, most likely, parang ayaw nila doon sa kabila kasi alam nila na kung halimbawa may mangyari kay Senator Bato, yung mangyari meaning yung mahuli sila o kaya may lalabas na warrant of arrest, Senator Bato, Senator Bongo, Senator Joel, ay pwede pa rin silang makaboto kung ma-approve itong actually motion ito pero sinasabi ni Senator Drilon na practice nila noong pangunang panahon ng kopong-kopong ay talagang kailangang present ka doon sa plenary, sa session hall para mabilang. Kasi paano kung maghahanap kayo ng quorum tapos panay online lahat, pwede bang bilangin yon yung sa online para mabuo yung quorum? Kaya sinasabi niya na kailangang medyo may matinding debate. Kaso nga lang, nung kahapon nagkaroon ng problema, nag-walk out yung buong minority kasi nga about doon sa motion na nagsimula kasi doon sa release ni Senator SP Alan Cayetano na botohan kaagad. So nabigla yung nasa minority, bakit botohan kaagad? Wala namang pag-uusap na ganito, wala man lang pagkakataon na magtanong, wala man lang chance para yung magdebate, wala. Ngayon, ang defense ni Senator Alan Cayetano, kaya niya nire-raise ang pagbotohan para doon kung itutuloy yung motion or hindi. Wala pa daw doon sa pag-uusap. Pero, siyempre, advance na yung mga kabila. Kasi alam nila na may mga ugong-ugong nga na magkakaproblema yung members ng majority. So, minamadali, parang feeling nila, minamadali yung motion na pwedeng makaboto yung mga sa online na kahit hindi present, pwedeng makaboto kasi in case na may mangyari, kasi sinasabing next week na, baka may lalabas na problema, kaya papel, tulad ng sinabi ni Ombudsman na hinog na, may lalabas na. Kaya doon siguro, bakit nagmamadali. And hindi rin maalis sa isip na talagang yun yung isang purpose, kasi nga paano sila boboto kung kulang-kulang na sila, di parang lumalabas tuloy yung mga usap-usapan dati na talagang gagawin ng lahat. Hindi naman tayo naghuhusga, pero lumalabas din sa social media na ganito. Narinig ko sa pahayag ni Senator Amy sa isang na magkakaroon ng mga kaso case built up. Siya nga kanina sinabi niya parang kine-case built up silang lahat na majority. Kung halimbawa 13 sila, lahat sila kakasuhan. Tapos yung sa minority walang makakasuhan. So, how do you think? Paano nyo maiisip yun yung ganon? Hindi ba kaya selective o kaya weaponized? Kaso nga lang, pag binanggit kasi yung flood control, tahimik sila tahimik Paano kaya yon? No? Yun yung number 1 na sinabi ni Senator Armin na talagang tututukan nila ulit yon, yung mga flood control, investigation, para matuntun talaga kung sino yung dapat managot. And then, yung impeachment, yan yung gagawin nila. Kaso nga lang, parang binibilisan din po. Ayun, sabi pa niya ni Senator Armin doon sa isang interview niya na marami nang nakikialam. Dati, ang mga kanya-kanyang body, equal divided yung mga body na yan na hindi kumbaga walang pakialaman kasi independent body. Ngayon daw parang nakikialam na yung mga ibang mga sanga. Ay nako. So ayan lang po muna mga kabonets, mga kababayan. Kung gusto niyo yung mga ganitong mga usapan, highlight at opinionan, then please do subscribe. Kung halimbawa na napanood nyo ito ng replay, huwag kalimutang mag-iwan ng bakas, yung bakas na may halimuyak, no? Para I'm happy to read your comment and ma-replyan po kapag mabasa ko. Thank you, God bless you, and this is Kuya Bonete. Laging panalangin ko po sa inyo ay katagumpayan para sa iyong trabaho, sa iyong negosyo at safety sa paglalakbay. Bukas muli, paki-support po yung ating upload, yung highlight. Paki-support po, paki-nood po, and pa-comment din po. Okay? Thank you, God bless you. Tayo muna ay tignan ako. Walang titingin. Walang titingin.